So what was the next problem? Yes. So I took the flash drive. My ESXi is installed on a USB flash drive. So what you do is you take ESXi, the ISO that they give you, the VM visor, and you use something like Rufus to burn it into a USB flash drive. 8 gigs in my case, and I have a bunch of the 16 gigs here. I only have the 1.8, and it doesn't use quite all of that, but whatever. So I took, and when you install it, you can install it back onto the same flash drive because it loads everything up into memory during the installation, and it can wipe out the drive, the flash drive, and allow you to format it, install it, and all that fun stuff. So it goes from being a bootable ISO installation disk, so to speak, into a installed hypervisor operating system, and then it just runs off of that. Fantastic, right? The problem is I took it out, I plugged it into this computer, I took one of these guys and I plugged that into this computer, and I did, wait, that's the wrong computer. I used Paragon in this case. Paragon's got a lot of neat things you can do. And it was the disk that had the ESXi, had all sorts of little partitions, and fuck knows what it was really composed of, but it was what it was. And then I had a blank. And I went to copy and migration. I did a copy hard disk, and when I went through the process, I'm not going to click through it. I even selected the exact sector by sector, whatever that was called, and essentially I cloned it 1-to-1 plus some extra space since I went from an 8 gig to a 16 gig. I put the 8 gig back in the first older server. That's now 0.6. And the new server, I plugged it in and tried to boot off of that. And it gave me a bunch of errors. I don't remember what those errors were. So either I did something wrong, maybe I need a different tool or something, but I did not successfully get a second instance of ESXi that would boot. It simply failed to boot it. So I put ESXi's ISO on there. I just not long ago finished installing it back onto the same same flash drive, and I made the data store. And ultimately, the problem here is that it didn't save my settings. That's what I wanted, was to make backups so that I can, even if the main one I was using failed, I could have let's say a backup I could flash into a new USB stick, plug it in and go. I don't know, so I may have to experiment with that a little bit more in the future, but I just didn't have the patience at the moment. It's just too many things going on at once, and I got to prioritize what I do. So, where am I at? Well, this is the old computer. I still need to plug in the test server because I want to pull something I had on there that I didn't make a backup yet of. This one's running a single power supply. This one I decided to plug in both of the 870 watt power supplies. So I have a couple choices. Ultimately, I need to start migrating everything over, right? I couldn't find a way to make a backup, profile setting backup thing that allows me to correctly, so I don't know. But at the same time, I don't think there was a lot of host configuring I had set up other than those switches. And I'll record before I get around to that. When it comes time to the PF sense, I have to make those two network virtual switches, and I'll do that later. Not right now. Right now, most likely what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to copy the NAS over and create or expand the virtual drive to something huge, and then I should be able to have a big ass storage, and then progressively one by one start getting everything merged over. I don't know how much of it I want to keep on here. I have days before the second machine comes, so I'm basically sitting on bonus hardware still here. Top priority would otherwise have been pfSense. I mean, that's my internet. But the NAS is kind of the only thing that will take advantage of the storage, so I will go ahead and make a copy of this first. I'm going to do a clone to virtual machine. I forgot it's not going to let me have the same name. I'm going to call this old, because it's eventually going to be deleted once everything is fully deployed and confirmed to be working. I will only then make a removal, but it's not a big deal either way. So NAS server. I mean, the majority of any configurations and stuff is in the virtual machines, not in ESXi. And maybe one of the other things I should have done was move over the VCSA, but I can worry about that later as well. So we're going to take this off 0.6. We're going to make a cloned copy to 0.5. And I do like this setup that they have for it, because even though it's physically running right now, or virtually running, however you want to think of it, it allows me to make a copy even though it's running. It, like, as if it takes a snapshot and then sends that snapshotted version over. Any other way seems to require you to turn the machine off, and then copy, and then you can turn the virtual machine back on. So as you can see, there's my new RAID 10, and my understanding is as long as it's doing its background initialization of the array, it's not going to be as fast as it needs to be, as it will be. But it does, I mean, it's there and it exists, so I'm assuming it'll work. But yeah, the lights and stuff are doing their thing for sure. It's doing something with all those drives. And I stuck with RAID 10. So it's 4 drives in a RAID 10 configuration, so I lose half the capacity. So instead of getting my, what was it, 16? 4 times 4? I don't get 16 terabytes, I get 8 terabytes minus, let's just say, overhead. I get 8 terabytes of redundant storage, and it will basically have the contents of 2 drives on the other 2 drives as well. And because of the RAID 0 portion of it, it will speed everything up in a few different ways. And I think the reading is faster than the writing, the increased gains. Customize anything? I don't think so. So I don't know how long this will take, but oh, butt fuck. Now what? Cannot snapshot a shared disk. Oh, is that what you're bitching about? I got an idea. Here's the problem, and I'll show you in a moment at the end. I think I can address this in the customization at the end of this step set. Here, customize this virtual machine's hardware. In fact, this will actually speed it up even, now that I think about it, the copying process. The hard drive, if you guys remember, my hard disk 3 in this case is a multi-write virtual disk, the one that contains my industrial music. This one's also being shared with Subsonic, and it looks like the cloning process does not work, like it can't be snapshotted in that mode. So we're going to remove that. We can also I was gonna say remove this as well, but well, the contents are relevant in this case, right? So I just removed the actual NAS virtual drive as well. I'll just create a new one. There's only like one set of things on there plus something else, and I can just reuse my tools anyways. So just the hard disk one that's got the OS is enough. So I'll hit finish, and now it should work. Great. It works. Fuck, no it doesn't. So I guess it just doesn't give a flying fuck, huh? Wonder if I can like just transfer an entire data store from one to another. Maybe not. I may have to just physically shut down Subsonic, and let's try that out. Subsonic is the one that has the other shared thing. Maybe if I just shut them the fuck down, they will be okay. And if not, I may be able to just do a copy. I hope. I don't know. That's part of the reason I'm doing these recordings, is just, how do I come up with solutions to my problems? And every time I'm dealing with new technologies, and the more enterprise it gets, the more clunky and unpredictable it actually gets. It's almost as backwards as you could think. So we will make a copy of you to there. I'm going to do the same thing I just did a moment ago. I'm going to remove both of those drives. I'll remove this, and I'm going to remove this. Seems anything more than 2 disks get lumped into this manage other disks thing. I kind of don't like that. I wish it just showed everything. Like, I mean, you got a scroll bar for a reason. Like, why do you need to deny us? Hey, look, the numbers are bigger. In fact, what I'm most likely going to do is I'm going to start copying over everything right now and just chill back, enjoy my vodka, record, or not record, but I'm going to continue watching YouTube stuff. And then once I've gotten everything on here over, I will probably resume recording and we'll see what the next step I take is.